Today we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find missing measurements. So looking at example 1, we have a right triangle, and we want to find the missing leg length, so we're looking for a leg length this time instead of the hypotenuse, of the triangle. So if we pull out Pythagorean's theorem, always start with that. We have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Remember that a and b are my legs, and c is your hypotenuse. So I'm going to first fill in my legs, or my hypotenuse, which is 15 centimeters. I always fill that in first because then I know the other numbers have to be legs, and it doesn't matter which order. So I'm going to put 9 in for A, and I'm going to leave B as B. You could have switched those if you wanted to. So 9 squared is 81. I'm just doing the math now. B squared I don't know. And 15 squared is 225. Now this is different from when you're solving for a hypotenuse, because if you look, you will see that you have 81 and b squared on the same side of the equal sign. So you have to solve for b. So we're going to draw our line at the equal sign, and we're going to get b by itself. So I'm going to subtract 81 from both sides. Those cancel. My b squared drops down, and I get b squared equals 144. Now, I want to know what b is. So I'm going to take the square root, that will undo the b squared, and I get b equals 12 centimeters. So this is different than before where we're solving for the hypotenuse. This time you have to solve for b. So there's an extra, or you solve for a leg. So this is an extra step in here. Let's look at the example 2. It says the hypotenuse of a right triangle is 20.2 feet long. One leg is 12.6 feet long. Find the length of the other leg to the nearest tenth. So in this case, they don't even give me the triangle. I have to draw it. So it says a right triangle, so I'm going to draw a right triangle. Remember, I didn't go to school to be an artist, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be labeled perfectly. So it says the hypotenuse of a right triangle is 20.2 feet. So that's my diagonal. That's 20.2 feet. One leg is 12.6 feet. It doesn't matter which leg you choose, just pick one. And then find the length of the other leg to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to be looking for this, and I'm just going to leave that blank. So I'm going to go ahead and put in Pythagorean's theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Take the time to write it out every single time. If you have 10 questions, I should see 10 Pythagorean theorems. So my hypotenuse is 20.2. I always put that in first, making sure you're squaring that whole number. And then a I'm going to put in as 12.6 squared, and then b squared. And then it just becomes plug and chug. And I'm going to just plug that in the calculator. 12.6 squared is 158.76 plus b squared equals, and then 20.2 squared is 408.04. Again, I want to get b by itself, so I'm going to subtract 158.76. Again, making sure that your math is neat so that you don't get confused, because it does get a little messy. These cancel. B squared drops down. 408.04 minus 158.76 is 249.28. Now I want to take the square root of both of those. So if I take the square root of 249.28, I get b equals 15.7888 or 7886. It says round to the nearest tenth, so 15.78 would round to 15.8, and that's in feet. Let's look at example 3. It says the bottom of an 18-foot ladder is 15 feet from the side of the house. Find the distance from the top of the ladder to the ground. Round the nearest round to the nearest tenth of a foot. So again, I have to draw a picture. Let's think of what a ladder against a house would look like. So if I think about it, here's my ladder. My ladder leans diagonally against a house. It says the bottom of an 18-foot ladder. So that tells me how big my ladder is. So that's 18 feet. Is 5 feet from the side of the house. So if this is the side of the house, it's going to be 5 feet from there. Find the distance from the top of the ladder to the ground. So this is the top of the ladder to the ground. That's the distance I'm looking for. So again, Pythagorean's theorem always, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. What do we plug in next? Always the hypotenuse, 18 squared. And then I'm going to put 5 squared in for a and leave b squared. At this point, you should be able to solve this. 25 plus b squared equals 18 squared. It's not one I have memorized. 324. Get b by itself, so subtract 25 from both sides. Those cancel. You get b squared equals 299. Then you want to take the square root of both of those to get b by itself. And you get b equals 17.29. It says round to the nearest tenth. So 17.29 reduces or rounds to 3, and that's feet. And then check to make sure, is your hypotenuse your biggest side? And it is, so you're good. Okay, now it's your turn. Go ahead and stop this video, and then you'll want to watch, or you'll want to pull out the worksheet, the practice worksheet that goes with this.